Good afternoon. Welcome to this latest UFI Connects. This is the last one we'll be running this year. I think it's UFI Connects number 35 in total we've run this year. There are a series of webinars, talks on different topics. And if you're not familiar with the format, you can download all the previous ones at ufi.org/UFI Connects. So how it'll work today, I'm going to hand over to Barbara Weizsäcker from the EEIA in a moment. And then we then have three speakers. As usual, please, if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat on the right. And after our speakers, we will come to you. So, just to kind of, if you like, a little word from me, obviously this has been a very challenging year, a very uncertain picture in Europe and across the world going into next year. We're heading into the first day of a lockdown here in the UK, in Germany and Holland, other parts of the world going back into lockdown. But there are some glimmers of hope. There are some rays of sunshine on the horizon, and certainly at some point next year, we will be back to meeting face to face again, and looking to get more support from our governments and from around the industry. In that sense, we saw a couple of weeks ago, there's a German fund for 2.5 billion euros, which was announced for event organizers. There was a similar protective umbrella in Austria of 300 million. Yesterday, we saw Scotland announced a £6 million fund for event organisers, which is 6 million more than the English government. So congratulations, Scotland. But here again today, with the Enterprise European Network is another, let's say, source of support or funding for our trade show partners that perhaps you may not be familiar with. So hopefully, this will be informative. It can lead to further discussions and for you to hopefully be more involved with the EEN going forward. So with that in mind, without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Barbara.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone, also from my side. This is Frankfurt speaking, should be Brussels speaking. We are the cooperation between the European members of UFI together with the EMICA members for the joint advocacy, and part of that is also finding out about what could be cooperation or even funding coming from the European Commission or the EU more in general. You all know we've spent this year mainly advocating for our industry, informing you about what's going on EU level, how could there be support, what are the policies, especially concerning travel, etc. But we want to look into the future, and we would like today to invite you to look a little bit outside our usual sphere. I'm talking now, of course, to the exhibition people on this event, and to check out potential cooperation with the EN. So the EN, Enterprise Europe Network, serves SMEs and startups by helping to find international partners, to give advice for international growth, and to find new markets, and by supporting innovation. In addition to individual advice, EN offers also conferences, workshops, trade missions, or brokerage events. And this is where we find a huge potential to collaborate. So we cater sometimes the same communities and could really create more synergies together to increase the success of the companies that are our clients. So we will hear now today from 4 speakers how the Enterprise Europe Network works, and then we'll have, well, you can see here, GUNNAR MATTHIESEN. He is the representative of the European Commission's EASME, the executive agency for the Enterprise Europe Network. And then we will have FEDERICA from Unioncamere Piemonte, Innovation and Business Advisor, also Enterprise Europe Network. COSTAS KARAMANIS, he is the Production and Management Engineer and Technical Coordinator of Enterprise Europe Network in Greece. And finally, from our side, from the exhibition organizer side, Sascha Wenzler from Messe Frankfurt, Vice President and responsible for the show that's called Formnext. So we will start with a very general introduction to what is the EN, how does it work, what does it offer, and what is it good for, and where could be connecting points. And then we'll hand over to and hear best practices and ideas and success stories. I would like to call now Gunnar. Thank you for being with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara, for that introduction, and a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, from Brussels this time. Barbara, when we discussed this, I didn't expect that I was going to give you this little presentation from my living room, but times are as they are, and I think we can be happy that we actually have the opportunity to talk about cooperation between Enterprise Europe Network and various fair organisers now. And we thought we'd start this off with a very general overview of what the Enterprise Europe Network actually does and what it is, just to give those of you an idea who haven't actually been working with a network in the past. So in a nutshell, the Enterprise Europe Network is quite simply the world's largest business support network for small and medium-sized enterprises with international ambitions, focusing particularly on business support, business cooperation and innovation support. We have about 3,000 people in 600 locations in 60 countries worldwide, so coverage is pretty good. And we unite, I like to say, a large number of business support organizations that are very used to working with SMEs, but that are at the same time footed in our local regions, so we can ensure proximity to our companies. Typical network partners include chambers of commerce, chambers of craft, innovation agencies, regional development agencies, as well as universities, technology transfer centers, and other actors in the innovation and business support environment. Our main, let's say, selling point is to combine international business expertise and knowledge of local markets with a strong drive towards internationalization into new markets and on innovation. So we help companies expand, we help companies find partners, we help companies innovate, and we help companies gain profit from innovation. We obviously have this sorted out in a number of services. We have it here on the screen right now in a shape of pillars, but actually we try to organize our activities along a client journey so that we have a coherent long-term relationship with our respective SMEs, and we can draw on the right type of service at every moment of the support relationship that Enterprise Europe Network has with respective SMEs. We work with companies on international partnerships, either at brokerage events and company missions or online with a partnership database and various online partnering activities. But we complement this with advisory support to help companies make good use of the European single market, of internationalization experiences, but also to advise them on EU laws and standards, to advise them on market intelligence matters, for example, in EU and non-EU countries, and to help on with things like IPR expertise and so on. All of these advisory services are designed to make sure that international activities of companies actually turn into a success for the company rather than being bogged down by administrative barriers or by simple lack of knowledge of the conditions that companies are going to find in the markets they're targeting. On the innovation side, we work on a very wide range of activities, from simple innovation advisory services, awareness raising about the opportunities of innovation, up to and including advice on access to finance for innovation, innovation management support and capacity building, actual technology transfer services with very in-depth and long-term support relationships, and so on. And we try to integrate all of these services in a, as I said, in a long-term client journey, and we try to make sure that companies receive the right sort of support at any time when they work with the Enterprise Europe Network. What we need to say, however, is that whenever a company is involved with EEN, we will always be looking at international partnering and innovation support. So that idea of brokerage activities in the widest sense is always there, and this is why we're always interested to work with and also at trade fairs. And therefore, let me start off by giving you a little idea here of how we actually organize this. We have, for a start, thousands of what we call profiles, cooperation profiles in our own databases to find the perfect match between companies. We have business and technology offers, business and technology requests, and so on. But we also have matchmaking events across Europe and beyond, where SMEs can meet with potential partners in person, if meeting in person works, online and with video conferences, as we have done in the past year. That also worked quite well. And I think Federica will talk to you more about some online experience that we've made in the last few months, but also before that. In addition to those brokerage events, many of which already happen at large renowned international fairs such as Medica, Hannover Messe, Frankfurt Messe, and so on, we also have company missions, which in a sense are a little bit more targeted. They're smaller. There we set up and prepare targeted international meetings of a small number of companies with strong business prospects. So there's a lot of preparation going into that. And we can expect that companies going on those company missions actually have a fair amount of return from those events. As I mentioned right at the beginning, we back that up with a whole range of advisory support services to make sure that the companies go into their international activities in a very prepared way. They need advice, practical advice on doing business in other countries, be it on legal matters, be it on cultural matters, or be it on market opportunities, standards and laws that need to be observed, and so on. And obviously, we also want to make sure that they don't sell out their IPR and so on. On innovation support, which we also use to support companies with international activities, we start in very much the same way by building capacities, by helping companies, of course, we're a European Union initiative, by helping companies to gain access to EU support and EU funding for innovation and research activities, but also by providing personalized support to shape innovation potential of companies and to turn that into commercial success, to help companies find the right technologies for innovation and to help companies find the right sort of finance. Obviously, all of this can morph together into a whole package that helps companies grow and that helps companies either become more competitive or in these days increase their general resilience. And we have found in the past that trade fairs and events are a very, very central part of what we do, not because we organize them, of course, that is in your hands, but because they're a great occasion for us to be present and to link up the different advantages of being on a trade fair and being on a target brokerage event. We'll get into a couple of details there right now. Before that, I would like to mention that we don't work on only on the basis of the three pillars that I've just mentioned, but we also have a fairly strong specialization and a specialist approach, in the sense that we have groups which are represented by FEDERICA and COSTAS in a few moments, groups within the Enterprise Europe network that actually specialize in individual sectors of economic activity and that therefore have developed a particular capacity to help companies in, for example, the area of aeronautics and space, or healthcare, or ICT, or textile and fashion, or maritime industry and services, and so on. And in all of those operations that we've had with Enterprise Europe Network, with companies and with trade fairs in the past, we've really figured out that there are shared aims, in the sense that we all work towards connecting companies and towards generating, creating and facilitating business partnerships. And I think we've also figured out that we have a big potential here of creating added value. Targeted matchmaking is provided by the Enterprise Europe Network. By the way, in brackets, I should say that we do that free of charge for the end user. So companies don't pay for the services of the Enterprise Europe Network because it's a publicly financed initiative. But we can do more than just matchmaking. We can link it up with other crucial competence building support that the Enterprise Europe Network provides. We have those flanking advisory support services and innovation support services, which we think provide a huge added value. And I think we can really work together with great effect to make sure that the large potential or the large exposure companies get at trade fairs to different products, to different companies, to colleagues, to competitors, to potential partners, and the targeted approach and the capacity building activities of the Enterprise Europe Network, they can really join forces to become a very powerful instrument for companies. And on that note, given that we only have an hour to discuss all of this, I would like to hand over to my most competent colleagues and friends, Federica and Costas, who will give you some practical examples, I believe, of how things have been done with companies and with trade fairs in the past in the areas of ICT, COSTAS case, and textile and fashion in the case of FEDERICA. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Gunnar. Perfect. I think we can directly start with COSTAS and your examples from the space industry, if I got that right.
ICT.
No, Barbara.
ICT, sorry, ICT.
But I'm also involved in space since I am the national contact point for space.
This is where I read it, I think. This is why I'm
in Greece, and also a member in the aeronautics and space sector group.
Okay, that was it.
Good afternoon. I'm Kostas Karamanis from Greece, and I'm going to present briefly to you some examples what we are doing in the brokerage events that we organize. Two practical examples. Before the COVID-19, we had mostly physical events. You can see here the example of Mobile World Congress, or MWC, in 2019. In this event, as in all of our events, we have a platform in which we invite participants to register. Participants could be either exhibitors or visitors of an exhibition. In this case, we ask somebody to describe his or her company and what is really looking for collaboration, offers or requests of products, services, or expertise. How it was look like? We had as you can see, it's not so well visible here. We had a booth. We had a booth in which you can see the photos below. We have tables. The participants are using the platform that I mentioned before. So before the exhibition, they see interesting profiles for offering or requesting, and they book meetings with other participants. All those bookings must be confirmed by both persons. So we have a really little percentage of meetings that are not effective in the end.
Kostas, may I interrupt you briefly, because I don't see your presentation moving. I don't know whether others have the same problem. I've seen some comments. So could you perhaps switch to presentation mode to...
Yes, okay, so I'm just showing you the platform.
Thank you.
The layout, we have here, we have a booth in which we have tables, and we have with the support of our platform, we managing the meetings that are taking place. In this specific event that lasted 4 days, we had more than 400 participants and 1,300 meetings scheduled and taking place in the tables that you can see. All of these tables, they have some numbers on them, so the participants know where to go and with whom person to discuss about a certain topic. In the case of a meeting that enables an exhibitor of the exhibition, the meeting is usually taking place in the booth of the exhibitor. So the visitor is going to this booth for having the event. And the other example that I have to show is another event, a virtual event that was resulted after the cancellation of a big conference in Vienna. So the organizers enabled us to save this situation and provide our platform, in order to have both the conference, the speeches, pitching, etc., and the meetings among the participants. Here you can see what a participant is using in order to have the meeting. For example, this gentleman, Kurt Burzer, entered in his agenda, and you can see that all his meetings that they were pre-arranged, confirmed by both persons, are in his agenda. So in the proper time, he just clicking the green button, and he can have the meeting with the other persons. The results for this event was 1 day of duration with more than 2,000 participants. Here we have many participants because they are not only for the meetings, but also for the conference, and around 1,000 meetings. Here you can see the agenda in which we have both the meeting sessions as well as the conference sessions. The virtual agenda sessions usually include welcome and introductory sections, plenary sessions, workshops, speech presentations, and maybe in the future a tour in a virtual exhibition, which is something that you may consider. So that was my short presentation. I'm available for questions. I tried to make it simple because it's simple and effective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kostas, for the two examples. One in the normal format that we all love, face-to-face on the ground, and the other virtual one, digital one. Very interesting. And two good examples in different sectors to understand how you can contribute to either a conference or a big exhibition. And if I got you right, the brokerage events that you organize, for example, on Mobile World Congress, they are open not only to the companies that you bring that are already catered by you and the Enterprise Europe Network in general, but they were open also to all exhibitors and visitors to take part. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Very good. So this is one of the examples how an event could be enriched by combining the activities and not duplicating activities indeed. So I propose we go to some other sector, textile and fashion, to Federica. And you don't have slides, but you will be seen on the screen as a speaker and you will tell us about your experiences. Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for inviting me in this interesting panel. I'm international advisor within the regional union of the Chamber of Commerce of my region in the northwest of Italy. For those who know, Torino is my city. Within the Enterprise Europe Network, I'm in charge for the textile and fashion sector group, where we are 30 members from 20 countries, more than 20 more or less. And we are in charge for providing SMEs with brokerage events and activities to facilitate the creation of international and commercial agreements. I would like to share an experience, the interesting experience we already had with the European Association of Trade Fairs in 2017, where we organized a brokerage event within an international fair in Paris called TextWorld. It was a very interesting event, as at that time I was in contact with Eurochambre, that was committed with within the European Association of Trade Fair, within a European Commission initiatives, the Business Beyond Borders, also committed to create international support activities for small and medium enterprises. So in collaboration with them, within these initiatives, we organized a very huge brokerage event within the trade fair, TextWorld, and it was very interesting because combining both international networks, we created a very huge event for a huge number of small and medium enterprises. So the communication was very huge, the promotion was very huge of the event, And we realized a lot of international meetings among clients. So it was an interesting opportunity to combine synergies to create more opportunities for clients. So it was a very important initiative we realized in that period. And of course, this year was very difficult for the activities we used to organize physically, of course. So we turned all the brokerage events in virtual modalities. And as sector group textiles in 2020 year, we organized a lot of initiatives, not linked to international fairs, but we organized a lot of brokerage events starting in May with an event called Textile Connect. It was promoted by our colleagues from Sweden. It was the very first brokerage event that turned online, that became digital. And it was a huge success with more than 500 participants from all around the world. So starting from this event, we continue in that way. So within the textile sector, we organize other events. I would like to mention one that I managed here in my city, that is the Torino Fashion Match. The Fashion Match, it's a huge format we created within the sector group Textile and Fashion. It has been awarded also by the European Commission in 2019 as a sector group best practice, because we provide a format twice a year to clients, to fashion designers, small and business companies, in two different locations within two different events. More specifically, in January, we organized the fashion match within a fair that is the Mode Fabrique, that now it's already planned for the January 2021, and it will be again in a digital version, of course. And we organized in October the fashion match in Torino within a fashion week, so it's a very challenge also in that case. And in October, the Fashion Week turned online. So we provide to clients a whole package, digital package, combining a fashion show with a brokerage event, with a specific seminar we used to add to the B2B to provide more insights and more inputs to boost business empowerment to clients. So this year we focus on specific fields as sustainability, gender equality, and digitalization for SMEs. So it was a huge event, and clients accepted this digital challenge in a very positive way, working completely online. So the brokerage event is always realizing the modality that COSTAS presented before, so registering using a B2 Match tool, selecting the meeting, but the digital version was very interesting for clients. For the Torino Fashion Match, we had more than 500 participants from 50 countries. So I can say that almost the whole Enterprise Europe network was involved in the promotion of the event. So we will continue on that way, and we have already planned other events for the 2021. So if you are interested in getting more information regarding this event, I can stay at your disposal.
Thank you very much, Federica, for the two examples. I think Gunnar wanted to comment something after the two examples from the Commission side again.
Well, this is really getting back to being relatively general. So there are comments and questions about the individual examples. I think we'll take them first, and then maybe before we go on to the next speaker, I can come in with one last general bit of information there.
I think we wanted to collect the questions to be answered at the end. So if you want to comment now, I think it's a good occasion.
It's a good moment. Okay, great. What I would really like to do is is to show you the scale of this after we've seen some of the examples and after I've been bragging about being the biggest business and support network for SMEs in the world. So the scale of events we were talking about here, and the few examples that Federica and COSTAS have been showing is, of course, part of our general portfolio that we provide in the Enterprise Europe Network. And just to give you an overview of what we have done in the last normal year, so I'm not counting 2020 here, but this is data from 2019. We've had 424 company missions, about almost 400 brokerage events, and 128 other events. Let's forget about those. But at those almost 400 brokerage events and 400 company missions, we've had 30,000 clients, 30,000 SMEs in almost 100,000 B2B meetings, organized, prepared, pre-matched, if you like, by our colleagues from the Enterprise Europe Network. So I think the potential is shown by these figures. It really is a very large area of activity that we have here. It is certainly our core business, and we have a lot of activity going on there. That is just some information I wanted to add here, and on that I will stop sharing my screen of figures and hand back to you, Barbara. Thank you very much for letting me in on this.
Sure, it's very interesting, your dashboard, to see to how you control everything and bring it all back together, from the smaller examples to the overview. And indeed, it's this is why we bring the Enterprise Europe Network to all of you who are participating today, because it is an important factor, and for the organizers, it is obviously an additional offer that they can make to the joint clients, and it is co-financed or even fully financed by the European Commission. And this is another, of course, from our point of view, from the organizers' point of view, exhibition industry point of view, it's another asset, obviously. When I would like to give the word to Sasha from Formnext to give us the example for this still relatively young show, and how from the very beginning the cooperation with the EN, local EN has helped to make it a success. Sasha, where are you? I don't just see you on my screen, but yes, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Barbara, and hello everybody, good afternoon from my side. I share the screen directly with you and change it to presentation mode. So I hope everybody can see the presentation. So my name is Sascha Wenzler from Messago Messe Frankfurt, and I'm responsible for a young trade fair, like Barbara introduced, a specialized trade fair for additive manufacturing, industrial 3D printing, a highly interesting technology and a real future technology for all sorts of industries. So it's an important industry, not only for the big players in the industry, but more and more for smaller and medium-sized companies. And therefore, I'm very happy and thank you to be invited today, because EEN, since many years at Formnext, is an important platform to connect finally companies interested in a technology with the suppliers of such a technology. And that's one of the main jobs we have to do as show organizers. So connecting the right people together and bringing them in touch with technology. So just to go very quickly through the slides, who we are. Messago belongs to Messe Frankfurt Group and is specialized in organizing technical trade fairs, specially focused technical trade fairs. That's why Formnext is also located within the group under the umbrella of Messago. And what's the concept behind this trade fair? Why is it so important as a future technology trade fair? Because it's not just a 3D printer fair. I'm pretty sure everybody of you heard already about 3D printing and a 3D printer, but here we talk about, and that makes it really important for a lot of industries, here we talk about a whole process of industrial manufacturing using additive manufacturing as a technology. So it's much more than just using a 3D printing machine. It's using a new way of manufacturing. And that's in fact one of the future technologies all over the world. And since our very first beginning, when we started in 2015, we paid big attention to know-how transfer and to explain the technology we show and the exhibitors show, because when you talk about a manufacturing process, it's necessary to generate and to support know-how transfer. And that's where EEN plays a very important role in. Just to give you a brief overview, that's the development of the fair. Since we started 2015, it was in fact, I think, the most or the highest increase of development on a technical trade fair sector launched in a trade fair in Europe. These are the physical years, and you can see here the development of the main trade fair figures. And it's from the very first beginning a highly international trade fair, which is also very important to the European audience. And all of us knew that our business was forced to change deeply this year. So also we changed within 8 weeks from a hybrid physical concept to a purely digital event. It took place in November, and here is an overview about the main figures. And what we already heard, it's also all about matchmaking when you use digital tools. And that was also our main driver to offer this platform, because the main part of it was the matchmaking part. And as you can see, also for a digital event, quite satisfying participant numbers, little higher internationality, but the artificial intelligence on the platform resulted in more than 500,000 recommendations, networking not only the attending people, but networking also the products with the people attending, and finally resulting in a lot of business meetings. That's what we also heard before, which is a real important element to create this kind of networking opportunity. And this directly leads me to the way we see our partnership with EEN at Formnext, and how we managed to realize it in the last years. Within these 8 weeks of change to the purely digital event, unluckily, we were not able to realize a EEN matchmaking event inside our event, but I'm sure when looking into 2021, we will have the opportunity again. When we talk about a physical show, we all wait for combining now with the digital world and realizing some hybrid events next year. We started in 2017, and regularly it's a partnership and cooperation with a regional body, like we also heard before. In our case, it's the Hessen Trade and Invest Agency, organized within the regional country of federal state of Hessen. And we support this initiative with offering show floor space, with marketing support, social media marketing support, web page support, PR, the locations, on catering, and how it looks like or looked like is here described in this little picture. It's like our general concept when you talk about additive manufacturing and 3D printing it's a very new and young technology, and also our audience is quite young. So the setting is also a little bit informal, but really nice. And for us, it's a very good and a perfect example to support a really neutral and supranational initiative in this case. And our special aim is, and that's where we exactly have the same, to focus on the SMEs, on the small and medium-sized companies, on the enterprises, because this technology gains more and more space in smaller companies and not only the big playing companies. You all know who use such a future technology, but there more and more know-how transfer is necessary and taking place. And it's covering, like we perfectly saw, I think, Gunnar, it was your slide, all different user industries possible. So from automotive, aerospace, and you can see much more here on the list. And there are getting more and more industries in touch with this technology. So for us, it's a real win-win situation to have such an initiative as a partner and to show and to give a place on our show floor. So with such an initiative, we also create finally added value for our exhibitors and for the visitors. And here are some of the figures in our case, in our very special technology AM. And you can see there are a lot of more benefits out of the matchmaking meetings taking place, because as a result out of our cooperation, we also had a development, because in 2019, for example, we were able to host also out of this initiative a pavilion from Hessen Trade and Invest, with companies from Hessen attending the pavilion. And we hosted for the first time a pavilion from the region of Nouvelle-Aquitaine, which before was a delegation, a visitor delegation attending the matchmaking event, like in 2019, for example, the Catalonian visitor delegation was for the first time visiting the show. So there is also a development inside the initiative. You attend as a company the matchmaking, and when you realize the business opportunities out of it, then for us as a show organizer, we have the chance to welcome in a next step on one part visitors with delegations, and on the other part exhibitors in pavilions, and maybe growing out of a pavilion to single exhibitors. So therefore we support strongly from the very first beginning initiatives like EN, and we have a startup challenge on the show floor since the beginning of the show with a pavilion. We have an organized pavilion, an official one from the German Ministry of Economy. And together with our honorary sponsor VDMA, the German Association for Mechanical Engineering, we also organize a pavilion for member companies of the VDMA. So all in all, it's a perfect match for us, a real win-win situation. And like all of you, I'm happy to look forward into next year, when hopefully we are able to organize at least hybrid events, which means we all wait for physical encounters. And that's my final remark, and to say thank you for the invitation again.
Great, thank you, Sasha, for giving all these details, and also see how it evolved as it was a new show. I have seen among the participants here Christina Dial, who is in fact your counterpart from the EN Enterprise Europe Network in Wiesbaden. And I don't know, Christina, if you can hear me, if you want to comment very briefly from your point of view what Sasha has said, and that would be really nice, so we can see both sides coming together on this example. Christina, can I unmute you perhaps?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, so you can see me. Yes, actually I'm from Hessen Trade and Invest, the regional EN here in Hessen, in the area of Frankfurt. And I was very happy to hear the presentation from Sascha Wenzler. And yes, I can highly support all this, because we as a local EN, we were very happy with a very good and trustful cooperation with Mesago for the 3 matchmakings we had in the last years. And yes, I can only encourage and recommend this kind of cooperation, because I think it's an added value for both sides, for us as EN and for supporting our companies. It's a high added value to have a reliable and practical and trustful partner, and because the cooperation always was very, very good, as Sasha mentioned also in his presentation, to have a booth, to have a room, and to have all this support for our event. But on the other side also connecting with the EN as an most not only European but more now international network, to give input with more international companies and clients and visitors also from our network, because the Formnext has a high response in the network, because it's a very interesting branch, and this exhibition is really growing, and it's getting more and more interesting. And so we had really I think nearly 30 EN partners in 2019 for our event, and I think it's an added value for both sides. So I'm very happy to say a few words here, and I personally also hope that we can continue in 2021. And we as EN Hessen, we have a long tradition to work with the Messe Frankfurt and also with the daughters as Mesago for over 10 years or maybe more. And it was no difference with which exhibition team we work together as EN for our brokerage events. It was for Automechanica, it was for tech textile, light and building, ambiente, kind of big fairs, and it always was very, I think, highly appreciated by our clients, and hopefully also by the fair company. And I can really encourage all of you from the fair companies to get in the kind of contact with your local EN, because for us it's very important, very trustful, and I hope we will continue like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. This indeed was a good hint that if any of the organizers here wants to start a cooperation, the easiest thing is to get in touch with your neighboring local EN and understand what they are doing, and then they can guide you through the network, or perhaps to find the right sector groups or the people who are very active in the fields that you organize shows in. So that could be the right starting point. And I remember that especially between Messe Frankfurt and the local EN in Wiesbaden, this was always a very good exchange during the year to see what is going on, what is planned, and just check out what are perhaps joint initiatives could be even for future projects, not only for the shows that are established, but even especially for new technologies, things that are growing, innovations to come, where really this specific little last push is really needed. So we have heard all the speakers. Quick question, Nick, do we have any questions to any of the speakers specifically?
I mean, there was one from Han earlier on. Han, are you there? Han always likes a question. How are you doing, Han? You have to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, though.
Myself. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm unmuted. Well, I heard a development where someone had a few live events and then a digital event. Please compare, because we hear all those people who do digital events and they say, oh, it's wonderful, it's very successful, but to make a real comparison, I would like to hear that.
Okay, so perhaps, I mean, just trying to think, perhaps Federica, you know, you want to answer that? You know, the feedback from your digital activities?
Yes, okay. Hi, Han.
Hi.
Regarding the textile and fashion sector, I have to say that the digital event is successful, of course, in terms of costs, in terms of opportunities, because you finally had the chance to be connected with all around the world. We have more participants attending the event, but the textile sector is a particular sector. As you can imagine, brands, fashion designers need to touch textile. So in this year it was okay, but the hope, of course, is to start again to do the B2B in a physical way. Also because you can imagine when you go into a fair, you have to see things, to touch things, but also when you attend a fashion week, as we are working on with them, it's difficult to understand and to watch it in a digital way. It's another experience. So I think that in the future we will continue, of course, with the digital solution, because it's a huge it has a huge potential. But I'm for the combination of both parts, so the digital but the physical as well.
Grazie.
Perfect. And I mean, same question, perhaps. We have a comment there from Christina saying digital equals more clients in B2B, also good possibility for startups, but feedback was nothing can replace the real meeting to start a real cooperation. I mean, Sasha, you also presented some good figures from your Formnext Connect, you know, 500, I haven't got it written down. But again, what was, you know, the figures looked impressive in terms of the meetings and the product demonstrations, but what was the feedback?
Yeah, but that's truly what also Federica said and Christina. You know, it's not comparable to a physical event, and especially as more and more when it's all about a technology or a manufacturing process, it's not possible really to explain it digitally. And you need to touch the fabrics, but you also need to look at the machine, to look inside the machine, and you need a lot of explanation about the machine. So finally, I think Federica, you said it was okay. And also when you see the figures, the expectations in the beginning of this year, when we changed or when we saw digital coming up for us as organizers, was, hey, we're doing digital, so we are open for the rest of the world. We will have much higher attendance numbers. But in contrary, it was not the case. And also the type of attendance changes. So it's finally, it was okay. Also from my side, it was good that we had at least a tool to stay in the market, but it will never be a replacement for a physical show. And now all of us need to look for an intelligent combination of digital tools with our physical shows.
Thank you. And you know, and in terms of the appetite, if you like, for your, you know, for the exhibitors to come back in future, we've done some studies we released last week, which in fact showed that, you know, 88%, I think it was, of exhibitors expected their trade show budgets to return within 1 year, you know, and 28% would be immediately. So do you feel the same? Do you think people are, you know, the companies are eager to get back to trade shows? Are they looking to explore perhaps, you know, more markets, or is there kind of a certain amount of hesitancy and you know, uncertainty? So, I mean, I guess from Federica or COSTAS.
Yes, may I say something?
Sorry.
May
Probably
I say
help to
something?
choose one. Yeah.
I would like to comment to the question of Han, and I agree with Federica and Sasha. There is no comparison yet. The word yet is very important, because somebody may offer a platform, a system, something that has equal value of the client experience. So in this case, because everything is about the experience of the client of the exhibitor, the visitor of an exhibition. So if I can perform in the same value with a virtual event, then this is something like Airbnb towards the traditional touristic industry. So we are talking about in the past we were talking about development. Now we are talking about transition or transformation. So it's something bigger. Of course, as Federica, I prefer a physical event, but if I was an exhibitor and I could get something that was near in value, near to a physical event, then why not? In my opinion, it depends. The comparison between virtual or non-virtual depends heavily on the sector. In sectors in which we need to touch something, to see something, to understand how it performs, for example, in food, in fashion, then a physical event is one way. But what happens to other sectors that the direct touching of something, the direct feeling of something is not necessary? That was my comment.
Yeah, Federica, anything to add?
Yes, I just would like to add that the digital solution is, of course, an added value, a very important added value to the services, for example, that we provide within the EN, an added value for brands who are living in a very difficult situation now, who need to go ahead with their business, of course. So the digital solution could be a huge help for them. But it's not. It should not be the only one. I mean, I talked with brands, with companies, and they wish to come back to the physical way when they do business. They wanted to have networking, direct networking with buyers, for example, within the fairs. So they appreciated this kind of new solution, but they needed to come back to the physical way to do business.
Great, thank you.
Nick,
yes,
may I add something? Because I was thinking about it. On top of that, we have also some exhibitions that are not so easily accessible for many people. So a hybrid event, virtual and physical, both virtual and physical, could be a very good solution. For example, we have CES in Las Vegas. Very few companies can go there, but there is a clientele for the exhibitors to host more people, even virtually, even from a distance. So this is another dimension that people that organize exhibitions could see, to offer broader access to exhibitions through digital means.
Yes, no, these are the questions that are going around, our industry 24 hours a day right now. And certainly that's the case that, through digital means, you can broaden the reach, but ultimately, very much keeping a focus on the live trade fair as the center of activity on the exhibition side. So we've actually that went very fast. We've kind of run out of time. So Barbara, to hand over to you, if you want to kind of wrap up.
Yes, just before wrapping up, I'd like to give the floor very briefly to Sarah, because it came to my mind when Federica, you were mentioning the Tax World experience. It was in the framework of the Business Beyond Borders project, and Sarah, who is now working with me, was the project manager for that. And perhaps very, very briefly, Sarah, could you give 2 words of experience across the many shows that were covered together with the EN for that purpose.
Yes, thank you for giving me the floor. I wanted just to comment on the fact that I worked for 8 years for Eurochamber, so for the European Chamber of Commerce, organizing events from, let's say, the client base. And then I'm working now, it's 2 years with the European Exhibition Industry Alliance. And I had the opportunity to see EN working from both sides. And I have the direct experience by organizing these 10 shows with the Business Beyond Border project, which were located in Europe, but also outside of Europe. So it covers the entire world, that the collaboration and the synergies that can be achieved when a network like EN works together with the trade fair, it's amazing. So the level of synergies and combination of efforts from both sides for the benefit of the companies are incredible. So the project was a pilot, just a first tentative to see how it would work, and it was so successful that even this year the European Commission launched the second edition of the similar project. It's called Overseas Trade Fair Program, just to show how important is trade fair to helping companies to internationalize, and what is the important role also EN has in making this match work. So also from my point of view, I can say that sometimes the dialogue, especially at the beginning, is a bit it needs a bit of dialogue to understand each other, the needs, and to collaborate, but it works perfectly. So I'm sure that this will be just the first of a series of, I hope it will be the first of a series of connection that will put together these two words.
Thank you, Sarah. This is nearly a final summary of what was said. I think from our side, from IFI side, EMECA side, European Exhibition Industry Alliance side, a huge thank you to the European Commission for presenting the network, and the two sector chairs, and also to Sasha from the exhibition side. We hope that we gave you a little inspiration to get in touch with your enterprise network or the Enterprise Europe network with the fair organizers, depending on the sectors that you serve, and to initiate more collaborations, be they digital for the time being or more physical in the future again, which we all hope are combined, supported by AI or whatever the future may bring. But we wanted to give you some momentum and some inspiration for that, and we hope that you will pick up the idea. Nick, is there anything to be announced from IFI side? Otherwise,
there is. We have a slide. We always have a slide. So thank you again to all of our speakers who joined today. As Barbara said, please do get in touch with the EEN. They have a network of consultants all around the world, not just in Europe. Thank you also to our diamond sponsors, TSEB, Qatar National Tourism Council, Shenzhen World, and Freeman. And I think that's it. Just remains for us to say thank you again. Wishing you all a very happy Christmas and a nice break and a well-earned rest, and look forward to seeing you in the new year for hopefully a better year than this year. All the best. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and yeah, happy Christmas to all of you. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome.